news and seen an airplane had crashed into a house. Did y'all see that? They didn't know that. They didn't know that was going to be the end of that. I think it killed, about 4 people, I think, in the house. So you never know. You don't know, so we can't take it for granted that God's keeping us. Every day He keeps us safe from hurt, harm, and danger. So when we come in here, and not even wait till you get in here, but praise Him in your house. Praise Him in your home. When you get up in the morning. Lord, I thank you. I praise you. I need to wake up and see another day without any hurt, harm, or danger. That's the one praise our God said. Amen. You must put it to your classes. Anybody need a Bible? Raise your hand, and I told you to get you a Bible. Go ahead and turn to Matthew 8. We'll be starting at the 23rd verse. Is everybody there? Amen. Get your Bible. That's Matthew chapter 8. We'll be beginning at the 23rd verse. So the subject is astonishing authority. And our lesson text is coming from Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 34. And who wants to read our golden text, which is the 27th verse? Who can read that?
But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?
Thank you. And today's aim is to face each day aware that Christ can intervene in our lives in any way He desires. To face each day aware that Christ can intervene in our lives in any way He desires. Drew, who are you looking for, baby? Or is she coming here with you? Or is she looking for her class? She's right there. Huh? Yes. So how many of y'all know that? To face each day aware that Christ can intervene in our lives in any way. How many of y'all ever had Christ intervene in your life?
Yes.
In any way that He desires to. May not be our way, but is what? His way. And that's the what? Best way. We think our way is the best way. How many of y'all know I've been there? I think I got it all worked out. The way I got planned is the best way. It's what's right. But God comes in and changes that every time. No, He knows what's best for us, so He's going to do it what? His way. Because I mean, we can't, His thoughts are not our thoughts. They're what? They're higher. His ways are what? Higher. That's right, Miss Margaret. They're higher. Good to see you again. It's just so good to see our Miss Margaret here. We've just been missing her. Because we love her. So, going back into our lesson, and I know last week we talked about also the authority that, Christ had to, that was the lesson about talking more of His authority. And we did talk about the centurion, how he came to Jesus, and one said he came to Jesus, and the other book said he sent the elders to come to him. But anyway, he got the message to Jesus that, he wanted somebody to be healed, someone in his, and he was a Roman officer. He had like an infantry of about 100 men. So one of his servants were sick. And so we talked about acknowledging who God is. So he acknowledged that Jesus was a what? What? Healer, that's right. He acknowledged him. That's what he acknowledged, that he is a healer. And that's what we talked about in our lesson, acknowledging who God is. So when you acknowledge something, you do what? How do we acknowledge? That's right. We make it known. So that centurion, he made it known, I know Jesus is a healer, so I'm going to go to him. He put it in action. I'm going to go to him. And because there's somebody, and what I love about the centurion was that he didn't even go to him for himself. He did a selfless act. How many of you know that's what we should be doing? We shouldn't always just go to Jesus first all the time. It's me, 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 me. I was me, 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 me. How many of y'all go to Jesus for somebody else? That's right. Let's go to him for somebody else. It ain't always what you want. God already sees what you need. How many of y'all know that? He already knows what you need, what you're going to need before you even know what you need or what you're going to need. He already sees that. If he knows every hair on your head, then he knows everything. So just to go to God, the centurion went to him, there's somebody sick, my servant. And he needs to be, and he even came to Jesus and said, I'm a man of authority also. I say go, they go. I say come, they come. I say do this, they do that. But he knew the authority that Jesus had. So he went to him and told him about his servant. And even not in that lesson, but where it tells it, what I think was it in Mark, where Mark or Luke gives an account of the same story, that they even let him know what all that man had done, what all the centurion had done, that he had helped build the synagogue and did some good stuff, and they was like, he really deserves this for you to do this for him. So Jesus did. He said, I'm going to do it. And what I love about Jesus, he didn't have to go lay hands on the man, did he? What did he do? That's right. Say it. He just spoke the word, and that servant was what? Healed. And as we said on last week, God has given us that same authority, because if we have Christ in us, we have the Holy Ghost, then all we got to do is what? Speak the word. But we got to do it over. Because why? Our faith ain't worth shipping. We just have trouble believing. We be saying it, but do we really believe what we speak it? But we said it's easy for us to speak those little things that we need done, but when it gets to them big things, them big projects, them, Lord, this is out of my control, I can't even do nothing with, do we still have that same faith that we have for the little ones? But when I love it, he said the centurion had what? He had what? What did he say about success? That's right. He said, I've never seen such great faith in what? In all Israel. Because that man believed, because he went to him believing that he's a healer. So I say with us, if we know who Jesus is, we go to him what? But already believing in our hearts that he can do the impossible. It don't matter what it is. And we need our children saved. We need a deliverance. It don't matter. But we believe God for it. Before we even ask, we should be believing God for it. How many of y'all know that? Yes. So anyway, so that was last week. Just kind of bringing us up for this week. Still talking about his authority that invests in him, that we have. God has given us that same authority to lay hands on the sick. How many of y'all know that? To lay hands on the sick, that they shall what? Recover. Some of us get scared to lay hands on the sick. And Lord help us, we lay hands on the sick and they get worse. Y'all have done that before. Lord, I pray for them. Well, they getting worse. Y'all have done that. Make sure that then after that, you're like, I don't want to lay hands on them, because I remember the last person I laid hands on, they got worse. We ain't supposed to be that, because the Bible says according to their what? According to their faith. So we got to we already know God can do it. So don't be afraid to lay hands on somebody, and just like I know at the volleyball tournament, this lady had gotten hurt, and she did something to the back of her leg or something. And so I took her some ice pack, and I said, well, you want me to pray? I said, would you like for me to pray for you? And because I didn't know she was, and you ask, don't just go lay hands on somebody. You don't even know what they believe, or if they want you doing that, and they might knock you out. So I always ask. So I asked her, I said, well, would you mind if I pray for you? And she said, no, I don't mind, go ahead. And, I laid hands on her. And I believe that God could heal her right there. And she told me, she said, I've never felt this before. She said, I believe I've really done it. And I said, well, I'm going to pray for you. And I laid hands on her. And the more I seen that day, the less she was getting worse. I said, Lord, I done prayed for her now. But I couldn't let that stop me for continuing to pray for people because it's according to what? Her faith. And I don't know what took place after she, left the game, but I believe God for her healing. Whatever it was wrong, I believe God for it. But so don't ever let that stop you from, wanting to lay hands on somebody when you see, okay, they sick, in your mind. But like I said, acts first. So, going into our lesson, we are at Matthew chapter 8. And somebody start us out. Let's do 23 and 24.
And when he entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. They were in the Sea of Galilee. He says in my notes that it was known for many violent storms and stuff like that. And what I really got out of this was, there was a great storm, and Jesus was at peace. He was asleep. He was calm through it all, But that's pretty much what I got out of it, And a tempest is a great storm.
All right. Anybody else want to elaborate on that? Nancy, what you got to say about that? You want to add on to something he said? Yeah.
Says with that, it says in the Chris read, it says, and he was entering into the ship means boat, and his disciples followed him. And then behold, they rose a great tempest, which was the storm in the sea, and as much as the ship was covered with waves, and he slept. And with that, where the disciples had been following Christ, they should already have been prepared regardless of what came their way. They should have been calm, focused out there, because when you follow Christ as a disciple, then you are to know they've seen miracles from what God had done. So they should have had more faith than calling upon him when he was asleep. That's what I got out of it.
Oh, that's good. Well, we got that for our pastor with it. 15 now, but I can't even see you 15. Greatest pastor this side of heaven. So that's all correct. So if you went up and read a little bit, in verse 18, this is when he saw the great multitudes, and as our sister Nancy was saying, that he was already doing miracles, so he had already, his fame was being known about, and now he had great multitudes begin to follow him and everything. So in verse 18, as it says, now when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to do what? Depart unto the what? Other side. So what I love when you read in verse 23, and when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And, how many of y'all know they was following the right one? Following Jesus. And y'all ever play follow the leader? And you do whatever the leader does. Y'all ever play that game? As the leader did something dumb, and you didn't want to do something dumb that's going to get yourself hurt. But long as it was safe and okay, you played the game, you follow the leader. That's what we are to do as Christians today. We follow our leader as she follows what? Christ. And as she said, if she ever stop following Christ, you better start following her. How many of y'all know that? Because I tell you what, you don't want to go to hell for nobody. I don't care how much you may love them, but if they ain't following Christ, you quit following them. So they followed Jesus onto 24th, onto the boat, and that's what that ship was, is, a boat. And behold, there arose a great tempest, and as our Chris had already stated, that great tempest, the great was that, it was, I looked up tempest, and it was like whirlwind, a violent storm, but it had what? Strong winds. That was causing the waves. I didn't want to get too far, but we did 24, which was causing the waves to do what? That's right. The water was coming. That, but like I said, that boat wasn't very big. And I don't know if y'all read it in Mark. Also, it was other little ships, it says, along with theirs. Did y'all read that? It was also other ones. So you can imagine them big waves coming over into that boat. But they had Jesus. So I don't know what was wrong, but they had Jesus over there with them. But like I said, acknowledging what? What we talked about last week? Acknowledging what? Who he is. Not so if we know who he is, we shouldn't be afraid of what? Anything. So they was looking at how the waves, was covering the boat. But he was asleep. I think that's what got him there. We got Jesus over here, but he's not that. How many of y'all know he was human and divine, and he already did all them miracles, so I guess the human part of him had to get what? Get a little rest. That human part had to sleep too. So he was asleep on the boat. So somebody read 25. We're going to put 25, 26, and 27. Yeah, and let's back up. Let me back up too. I want to keep talking about that following Jesus. Because a lot of times, how many of y'all remember that song, I Have Decided to Follow Jesus? Y'all remember that song? Y'all used to sing that? Yeah. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. I like that song. Me too. As old with a pastor. Oh, yeah. So, but when you decided, but the song said, I have decided to follow Jesus, no turning back. So if I don't want to turn back, what do I have to do to continue to follow him? Keep what? Keep your eyes on him. How do I keep my eyes on him? Reading the word. Reading the word? What else I got to do? Is that all? Fasting. Praying. Come to church. Being obedient. That's right. You can't just say, well, I decided to follow Jesus, and you don't even come to church. You don't work. Yeah, work on change. I like that, Father. But when you decide to follow him, that means you made up in your mind. The decision has been made. No matter what, I'm going to follow him. No matter what tests and trials I go through, I'm going to follow him. No matter what comes my way, I'm going to follow him. No matter what storms comes in my life, I'm still going to follow him. But if you are equipped, as you all done said, with fasting, praying, reading the word, applying the word to your life, then you will continue to do what? Follow him no matter what. So we talk about following Christ. So anybody want to add to that? And not having any excuses. How many of y'all know we could come up with so many excuses? Come on. So many excuses why we can't follow Christ. Well, I got to do this. I thought I was coming to church Sunday, but Lord, I got to do this or I got to do that. Following him means I'm going to be what? Also faithful in coming to church. Because you can't half come and think you're going to follow Christ and half come to church. That's not following him. But when you follow somebody, you follow him what? All the way to the what? To the end. Just like I was saying, how we used to play that game. Follow the leader. You follow the leader to the end of the what? Till the game was over. So that's how we do with Christ. We got to make it to the end. I don't know about y'all, but I'm planning on when New Jerusalem comes out, I'm planning on being in New Jerusalem. I ain't going to hell for nobody. I don't want no excuses keeping me out of hell. I want to follow him till the what? Till the end. So somebody do 25, 26, and 20. Go ahead, Sean, and 27.
And he and his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he said to them, Why art thou fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the storm and the seas. And there was a great calm. By the man marvel, saying, What manner of man is this that even the winds and the sea obey him? Basically, what that is saying, that the disciples had little faith. God was telling them, why art thou rebuking the storm by yourself? Why aren't they rebuking the storm that's in their life? So he goes up on deck to rebuke the storm, and there's a great calm.
All right, Sean. Come on, give Sean a hand praise. He made it. That's awesome. So let's look back as he read verse 25. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, said, Lord, save us, we perish. And I was reading the one in Mark that was like, Lord, carest thou not? Don't you care that we're going to die in this storm? Don't you care? How many know Jesus cares? And when you're in a storm, how many of y'all been in storms? And it seems like, Lord, where are you at? These storms are going to overtake me. That's what it seems like. But how many know it's not going to overtake you? If you trust in God and you believe in him and you acknowledge him who he is, how many know as long as you serve God, storms is going to come. They're going to come. They may toss you a little bit. You may do like this, go back and forth. But how many know God still can calm that storm in your life? But it's how you going to react to the storms in your life. Are you going to get out of shape? Are you going to stop coming to church just because this storm then came and blew you a little bit? But how do you know, it takes my mind back to the house that was built on the what? Solid foundation. That's it. It didn't matter how much them winds and waves, the storm beat up on that house. What happened to that house? It stood. It didn't go nowhere. So long as your foundation is stable, is solid. Your foundation is what? The Word of God. How I'm living. How I'm praying. How I'm fasting. Believing in His Word. As long as that's solid in my life, I know that storm ain't going to knock me down. I ain't going nowhere because I'm standing on what? A solid foundation. I'm standing on the rock who is Jesus. So that's what we got to make sure our foundation is solid when that storm comes, not being moved. I mean, I know I can talk about myself. I used to be moved every time a little wind blow in my life. Oh, I want to go to church Sunday. Because I did not have what? I didn't have a relationship with God how I have it now. So because of me not having a relationship, when that little wind blew, I mean, it just tore me all to pieces. How many of y'all been there? Then, got to where I didn't even acknowledge who God was in my life. I was too busy being, oh, Lord, why is this happening to me? Why, me, oh, my, crying about it. Then not wanting to come to church. And how many of y'all don't know why, when things happen in our life, that's the first thing when you ain't on a solid foundation, you don't have a relationship, that's the first thing you want to do is what? Not come to church. How many of y'all been there? Yeah, I know I ain't the only one. Don't want to come to church. Don't want to hear the word. But coming to church is the best thing you can do when you're in a storm. That's the best thing for you. So here it is. I was like, well, Lord, we want to perish. But how many of you know sometimes it does seem like, well, Lord, where are you? I'm in this storm. Where are you at? He's not saying nothing to me. He's not taking me out of the storm. And it's like, well, what am I going to do, Lord? But he just wants to see where you at. He's right here. He said, honey, I'm right here. Let me see where you at. Let me see where you at in your faith. Let me see where you at in your walk with me. How many of y'all know that? So, but God ain't going nowhere. So, look at 26, and he says unto them, why are ye fearful? O ye of what? And that's what Sean said. You know, they had such little faith. They had Jesus right there with them.
Come on.
How many of you know? And we got him with us.
Come on.
The only difference is they had his physical body right there, but he's still a person. He still lies within us. And as I said, he has still, we got, as long as you have Christ in your life and you have the Holy Ghost, you have that same authority over the storms in your life. He's giving you that same authority. So, oh, ye of little faith. So God don't want us to be fearful of things. He don't want us to be afraid. Now he wants us to fear him, and to fear him is to reverence him, to respect him. But not be afraid of things that what? Come into our lives. We get so afraid and we panic, and then how many know when you get afraid and you begin to panic, most of the time you do something you should not should have done. How many of y'all been there? You end up doing something dumb, shouldn't have done, because why? You went into panic mode. How many of y'all know, I've been to where, I've been trying to hurry up get in the house if I hear a dog or something. And boy, and I think that dog coming and I start panicking and I'm trying to get my keys. What happens every time? You drop your keys. How many of y'all done that? You drop your keys, you try to get in a hurry, and then you can't find the right key. If you got a bunch of boo-boos of keys, you can't even find the right key. On a normal day, there's no trouble. You just go and get the right key and unlock the door. But you try to hurry up, get the house, you fumbling, drop the keys, get them, and you can't find one key. Because I've been there and I've done that. But see, I got scared, I got in that panic mode, and it causes us to do things like that. So God don't want us to get in that panic mode. He don't want us to be afraid, but he just wants us to what? Trust him. And so that's where is we at? 26. So that's why he was saying, oh ye of what? Little faith. So that's why we got to grow in our faith. We got to come up hither in our faith to trust God on everything. Like I said, it's so easy to trust him with these little bitty things. But to trust him when it gets bigger and bigger, like, Lord, we still got to trust him. Because he ain't changed. He's still the same God. No matter what big of the project I need him to do for me, no matter what way of escape I need, he's still what? The same God. He ain't changed. He ain't with no words. He's still the Bible. Oh, Lord. So, all right. Oh, my goodness. So, but he told them they have little faith. And the thing about the disciples, they done what? They done seen miracles, because right before this, he was working miracles. They done seen it with their very own eyes. And still they would have little faith. Didn't believe God could take care of them through the storm. But how do you know God will carry you through any storm in your life? And I thank God for the storm. That's the one thing when I thank God for the storms in my life, because that allows me to know that he will give me peace. What? Through those storms. He'll give it to you. So you don't have to fear about any storm that comes in your life. Now, if you ain't serving God, I'd be afraid if I was you. If you don't have the Holy Ghost and you ain't got Christ in your life, then that's when I fear. So, but when you serve him and you got him in your life, there's nothing to be afraid about. Anybody want that? Did I see a hand? No hand. Miss Byrd, was it you? I got it. Oh, go ahead. Somebody give her a
mic. I know God has used me to witness to my kids and in ways that they really don't understand that it's witnessing. And it had to do with storms. Mm-hmm. And, speaking to them. God says speak to the storm. So you speak to the storm. And I know once my son came home from work, they let him come home early. They had some sort of special thing at work that tells the weather. And he was coming in, he said, we have a storm, and it's going to be here in so many minutes. And I said, that's a different story. God wants to change that. So I just started speaking to that storm in front of my grandchildren. And so he's going through the house and he said, well, where is the storm? They said it was right on top of us. And I just smiled. And then I said, thank you, Lord. And so my grandchildren are sitting there hearing this because they, I'm speaking it. And so he comes back here, he said, I don't understand this. They said it was going to be one of the worst storms that we were going to have. I still smiled, and he said, why are you smiling? He said, are you speaking to the storms again? Because that wasn't the first time. I said, tell me where the storm is. And so it was, and God had used that even again, because even with my daughter-in-law, there was a storm and she called, something like a storm, and I said, oh no, we don't have a storm here. And she said, yeah, we do. I'm just right in the house. I said, well, you're at a different spot. At this house, there is no storm.
That's right.
I've already spoke to that storm. And I said, it is not here. And she said, so it's not raining? And I said, no, it is not. I said, there is no storm. And I said, thank you, Lord.
That's it. That's God. I tell you, that is God. And she even spoke to the natural storm. I know my mom used to call me, Tanya, they come for some severe weather. We're going to pray that God just turns that around. And I'm telling you, how many know 2 or 3 touch and agree on something? Come on. And God, every time my mama comes, Tanya, let's be praying that storm will what? Turn around. Wouldn't even, then we'd hear the disasters all around us, but not where we were. So that's nobody but God. But that's what acknowledging who God is. But that's action. You got to take action to know who He is. Don't sit there by know who He is, but then you sit there and doubt everything. Come on. You don't believe He can carry you through the storm. You don't think He can calm a storm. But put your faith in what faith is. What? Action. Is that right? Faith is action. You can't just sit still on faith, but faith is an action. Is that right? So at the end of verse 26, he said, then he arose. He done told them, y'all ain't even got no faith. Oh, you little faith. Then he arose and did what? Rebuked the winds and the sea. And there was a what?
Great calm.
Great calm. So when you just hang on in there with the storms in your life, it's going to calm down. It ain't going to continue. How many don't know that? That storm ain't going to continue. It may not be your last storm, but it's not going to just go on and on and on and on. But in the calm, He'll take you through that storm. He'll give you peace through that storm where you what? Be all right. Until the next storm. And then since you made it through that one, you conquered that one, so the next storm may be a little what? Worse than the other storm. But it don't matter how bad the storm gets. It's just knowing who God is that it don't matter. I know I can trust Him to carry me through the storm. He'll calm the storm. He's going to give me peace through the storm. I can trust Him. So look at verse 27. But the men marveled, saying, what manner of man is this, that what? Even the winds and the sea do what? Well, He's the creator of everything. I mean, you know that. He has created the winds. He has created the sea. So that's their master too. Is that right? So they got to become obedient under His voice. Whatever God speaks, it's got to happen. Because He's in control of everything. Like that song we sing, God is in control. Remember that song, Pastor? What manner of man is this that even though winds and sea obey? The great one? I forgot the word. The heavens and the earth. That's right. God can do just what He wants. That's it, Ashley. So He created it all. So He can do just what He wants. But we just got to trust Him to know. Because I mean, no, God, He don't want to see you get harmed. No, that's right. He don't want you to perish. But there's just some things that we have to what? Go through as Christians. And I thank God that we do go through these things because it what helps us to have more faith. Because I mean, no, He says in the Word, if you don't have faith, you can't what? Please God. It's impossible what? To please God without faith. Do y'all see what that says? It is impossible to please God without faith. So I thank God for these things that come in my life that helps me to trust Him even more, to where my faith can grow even the more. Is that right? And all it takes is to have what? Faith of the size of a what? And since Margaret gave us all a little, tiny little mustard seed, y'all still got y'all? Yeah, I got my summers. But it's just so tiny. Just a tiny little bit. But it's hard for us to trust God just that what? Tiny little bit. That's it. It's hard for us to trust Him that little bit. So, anybody want to say anything? Now, so, oh, go ahead.
And on verse 27, we said that even the winds and the sea obey Him. You know, in Psalms, it says He commanded the winds and raised the stormy winds. You know, and it takes me to Jonah when he was trying to run from God. And when God sent a strong wind to him, you know. And so sometimes those storms are caused by ourselves, because God told him to go to Nineveh and speak unto them, because, you know, they had come up against him. And so sometimes, you know, and Jonah took off and he went to Tarshish and got down in the belly of the ship, and you know, sometimes we can run, but we can't hide. And God sent that strong wind to mess up the boat so that he would get back into God. So even in these storms here, you know, these disciples were fishermen. So to me, it seemed like that they would have seen these storms day in and day out, this common storms. So sometimes we get frustrated, we get overwhelmed just by everyday common storm, because the Bible tells us that think it not strange when these fiery temptations come upon us, as if it's something new. So this storm is no new. The storms that we face are no new, but we got to understand that we have a God that's behind the scene that controls it. All we have to do sometimes is just sit there and weather the storm and know that the same authority and power that God Himself possesses, He gives it to us. You know, He gives it to us, just like when He gave the disciples, you know, the power over all manner of sickness, of all manner of disease. We control that same power. So we got to understand that, listen, we depend on God. I depend on God for every little bit of my life. But I have to understand that I don't have to always go to God, because God has given me that same power to say, this mountain here, you got to move over here. So whatever storms in my life, I have that same power to be able to move.
I like how you said that mountain got to move over here. But I ain't climbing no mountain if I got to climb it. I don't know what they was thinking about when they made that song, Lord, give me the strength to climb a mountain. And all God got to do is tear it down and move it aside and let me go through. Is that right? I like that little mountain. That's awesome. So now, anybody else? Let's look at 28 and 29. Who wants to do that? Don't jump over like popcorn. Go ahead.
And when he was come to the other side into the country of the Gergesians, there met him two possessed with devils coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. And behold, they cried, saying, What have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? Well, in Mark and Luke, it says, that there was just one man possessed, but this here it says two. And I think because they had spoken once, because that one stuck out the most, and he was one that was possessed with the legions, he had many. And they had come out to the tombs, and the tombs is a burying place for the dead. And they were so violent, angry, that they were dangerous. People couldn't pass that way. And the devils fell down, and they worshiped God, they reverenced God, they recognized who God was. And the devils had nothing to do with him, because they had nothing in common, no night, no day, you know. And they just wanted Jesus to just leave them alone, to not disturb them.
All right, fine. And how many of y'all understand that being possessed means what? We talked about being oppressed and being possessed. What's being possessed? Say, I can't hear you. Oh, say that, Mike?
Being overtaken in your mind, your body, by the spirits.
Yeah, that's it. They take ownership, being possessed. And that's what these devils here, look at 28. When they got to the other side, as our sister Bonnie just said, there met him two possessed with devils. And as she stated, you see again where it gives an account of what Mark and Luke, they was still, I guess they all were saying the same thing, but one gives an account of two devils, and one, I guess Mark just focuses on that one, because he must have been turned up Jack. So I guess Mark was like, y'all ever been in the crowd and it's just one person, if they acting up or something, you may just see that one person doing something more than you see the others. I guess that's what Mark's saying, just that one devil acting up. So, but Matthew here gives an account of two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fear. So they were violent. And I know that she read in Mark, they had them bound with chains, and they were so violent that they were breaking their chains and going on. And I think one crying and cutting himself with stones. How many know when you possess, it has control of what you say, your thoughts, and it's making you do things that you normally wouldn't do. Have y'all ever seen anybody possessed like that? Just like the one, I remember the one said, my son is possessed, he keeps throwing himself in the what? Fire. Now normally you wouldn't throw yourself in the fire. But when that demon has possession of you, he's taking control of your thoughts and your mind and making you do these things. So that's the kind of devil, just to paint a picture, how they were so violent. And it says, look at verse 29. Into verse 28. Exceeding fierce, the end, I'm at the latter part, so that no man might pass by that way. So they were so violent that you couldn't even what? Pass by that way. Which I want to pass by that way. You see somebody right here? No, I think I'll just stay right here, Jesus. We just stay right here. But anyways, at verse 29, and behold, they cried out, saying, what have we to do with thee, Jesus? Now they knew who Jesus was. Y'all see that? They recognized who Jesus was. So that's why if you don't have Christ in your life and you try to go cast out a demon, they're going to see, no, just like the sons of Sceva. I know power and I know Jesus, but who are y'all? I don't see Jesus nowhere in y'all. And what happened? They beat the clothes off of them. They were wounded. So you got to make sure that you have Jesus in your life and that you are what? Fasting and praying. Don't try to be casting out no demon. You know you ain't even fasting. Ain't been praying. Don't even have a prayer life. You just stay back and hold the Bible. If there's any casting out in the church, you just make sure you grab the Bible and hold it. While the ones who've been fasting and praying cast out the demon. So, also, not in this lesson, but in Mark, like our sister Paul, I don't know if you heard or not, when Jesus asked, what's your name? Who I read that? What they said the name is? He said, my name is what? That's right, Legion. And that means what? Many. That's right, many. He said, for we are what? Many. And one legion of an army, of a Roman army, was how many? Try a little more. How many? Not that much. Come down a little bit. More than that. You close, Kathy. You just 1,000 too many. That's right, 6,000. A Roman army a legion was about 6,000 6,000 men. So he says, we are many in Mark. Y'all can read it in Mark, you can read it in Luke also, but I think Mark actually says the name. So, you got to look at and how many of y'all know, it doesn't matter how many legions, how many demons it is, God still has the power over them all. Over them all. There's nothing too big for him. So, here comes the kids. What, we run out of time already? All right, while they're coming, who wants to do 30 and 31? Catherine, do 30 and 31 while they're getting there.
And there was a good way off from them, and herd of many swine feeding. So the devils besought him, saying, If thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. They didn't want to leave the earth. They wanted to stay on the earth, so they asked Jesus just to cast them into the pigs that were right down in front of them, and he did. But in 32 it says that they even ran into the sea and killed themselves. So what a good demons want to go into the pigs.
Well, and how many of y'all know why did he allow them to go? That's the question for them. How many of y'all know why? How many of y'all remember? We had the Bible study. Why did he allow them to go into the swine? Write that down. Why did he allow? Why did he allow the demons to go into the herd of swine? And now we'll have a review from our primary. Come on.